Hi, this is Russell Sano from teachertrainingvideos.com. This is a quick lecture and then some training about using blogging in education. I think I've worked in 42 countries now, and I've done training, lots of different training courses, and I think the thing that teachers are most surprised about is blogging, because I think it's completely misunderstood. Teachers don't realize what you can do with blogs. They've evolved massively as the technology and as the internet has evolved, and they are really, really useful on courses. So any long courses that I run of, say, more than about 3 days, I always teach the teachers to blog, and they're always amazed with its potential as a technology to use. And I'm going to hopefully convince you, if you sit back and just watch these videos, of why they're so useful. I'll give you a quick explanation of what I've done and what they can do, and then I'll actually take you off and teach you how to use Blogger. So why am I so enthusiastic about blogs first? And let me just talk from the point of view of what you can actually use them for in education. For example, you could create a class blog where the different content from your course is available to your students in a blog. A blog can have different pages, so you can have videos on one page and links on another, and then the classroom content for each lesson on another page. You can use blogs easy as a kind of repository where the students can find all of the content for their lessons and for their homework. So that's one obvious use of blogs, and that could include embedding videos, embedding pictures, etc. The way I've used blogs the most, and I've done this both with students and with teachers, is as a reflective diary. In other words, I've been running master's degree courses, English language courses. For example, with students, I've simply got the students to answer some questions on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, and to write their answers into a diary, and it's like a reflective journal of their experience. Now, this is particularly interesting when I'm working with students who are, say, coming over to the UK to study with me, and they can keep a diary and they can include pictures in their diary and videos in their diary, etc. So using a blog as a kind of reflective diary which can talk about what they're learning on the course as well as their experiences of staying in the UK can be really can be a great tool for that. I've done exactly the same thing, and I do this now very often when I run teacher training courses. I ask my teachers to keep a reflective diary where they talk about the new technologies that they've been introduced to each day or each week, depending on what course we're talking about, and they can basically update their diary and talk about what they've learned, talk about the technologies they've come across, how they might use them in their own learning. So really good for reflective diaries. And the thing of my experience of using blogs for reflective diaries has been very, very useful for both the students and the teachers. They're often very reticent at the beginning, they don't like the idea, but by the end of the course they're often very enthusiastic about their diaries. Another way that I've used Blogger or blogging tools is that I've used them to create e-portfolios. Now, an e-portfolio is basically a kind of repository, a collection of all the digital assets that you produce during a course. So it might include videos, any discussions, any Google Docs, any Google Slides, etc. Anything digital that you've produced, you can put it all together in an e-portfolio, and that's a record of your learning. Blogger can be used for that. I've used Blogger for that, so that's another reason why I like Blogger, because it's so flexible and can be used in so many different ways. A lot of people use blogs to write a teacher blog. So that is, a teacher writes a blog where they're just telling other teachers about perhaps their use of technology or their ideas that they've done, their lesson plans, etc. So it can be a great kind of almost like a website, really, where the teacher just keeps updates other teachers on their ideas for teaching, etc. And students can do exactly the same thing. They can use a blog as a kind of place to do their homework and their writing, so it can almost become not a diary as such, but simply a place where all of the work that the students do, if they do a writing activity, they can do it inside their blog. If they do any recordings, they can put them inside their blog. It's slightly different from an e-portfolio because this probably wouldn't be assessed whereas an e-portfolio would be very much part of an assessment. And a student blog normally would include all the homework and all the sort of kind of writing activities and other activities that the students would do. So there are similarities between these ideas, but they're slightly differently focused. And another way that Blogger can be used, and I know many institutions that have done this, is it simply can be the school website, because Blogger or blogging tools these days allow you to have multiple pages. So yes, you can use a blog as a blog, in other words as a kind of diary or kind of daily posting type of technology, but you can also use a blog in a way as if it's more or less just a website where you've got different static content that you want to be able to make available to the public to find. And that's the reason I like blogs so much, and the tool that I particularly like using is Blogger, because it's free and easy to use. It's simply because they're so flexible. Great as a writing tool for students, great as a reflective diary, great for creating e-portfolios, etc. So let's now talk a little bit about technically what a blog is, and then I'll actually start to show you how Blogger works. So we're going to use Blogger. So that's the tool that I'm going to look at. That's from Google. It's a free tool. It's very similar to a website, really. It allows you to have multiple pages. So you have one page where the blog goes up, which is almost like your time-stamped kind of daily content that you want to add up, or weekly or monthly or whatever. But then you can have lots of static pages on your blog as well. So as I said, it's very similar to a website. You can embed all sorts of content. So you can embed videos from YouTube, you can put in pictures, you can take content from your Google Drive, and you can add that all into your blog as well. So it's great because it can be very multimedia rich as well. When you add blog posts, they're automatically date stamped and they're automatically searchable. So unless you understand how a website is created, it's hard to understand that blogs actually make your life really easy, because they do a lot of work for you. So you don't actually need to create a menu system for your blog if you don't want to, because it will automatically add up each post that you add to the blog. People don't realize that unless they've got knowledge of website production, how powerful blogs are, and the fact that they have an automated search engine tool within them that helps you to search for the posts that you've added up onto the blog. So great in that way. And then the other thing is that, you know, blogs have really developed, so there are lots of plugins that we can add into blogs, and I'm going to show you one or two of those plugins, and then show you also, you know, where you can find more and add more to make your blog look really media rich with lots of different sections and parts on it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to train you very quickly to make your own blog, in case you've decided that you'd like to start, or maybe get your students to start. And in the next 5 minutes I'll show you all the basics. The one thing that you do need to do this is to have a Google account. If you've got a Google account, you have access to Blogger, which is the tool that we're going to look at. So let's get started. Okay, so make sure you're logged into Google. Over on the right hand side you've got your Google Apps. Click on your Google Apps. You will need to come down to More, and then you will choose Blogger. Now my blog is going to open up. I have tidied it up a lot, so if I look here at the moment I've only actually got 2 blogs. You won't quite see all of this, because if you haven't produced a blog before, you'll probably just have a new blog button actually, and in fact that's what we're going to do anyway. So ignore all of this and simply click on new blog, because you're going to produce a new blog. And now you need to think simply of a title for your blog. Now the title of your blog, that's up to you. That's going to be the title that's at the top of the screen. So I'm going to call this one 4-month challenge, because basically I'm going to set myself a challenge for the next 4 months, and I'm going to be writing a reflective diary every day about whether I can reach my challenge or not. And I can actually use that as the address as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. So that is the actual title of my blog, but this will be where people can find my blog. And if I paste that in, what I would need to do is to bring in the gaps here because this blog is not you can't have gaps in the actual address. So this would be called 4monthchallenge.blogspot.com, and I can now just check if that's available, and says sorry, this blog is not available. So this sometimes happens that you haven't got the blog. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change that to Russell's, and then I'll put 4-month challenge, and it says to me yes, that address is available. So that's going to be the address of my website. I'll obviously be able to share the link. Now, one tip is really you want to have a fairly short blog. So Russell's 4-month challenge might be a bit too long. I could, for example, put Russell's challenge or something like that, but for this demonstration I'll keep it very simple. So my website, the actual address of my website will be Russell's 4monthchallenge.blogspot.com, and all I need to do now is to choose a type of blog. Now my advice to you for this is simply just choose simple, because you can always change your blog later and completely change the design. There's no problem there. And now I'm going to click on create blog, and that is it. My blog is done and it's ready now for me to begin to add content onto the blog. Now Google actually allows you, if you want to see even if you could have the website 4monthchallenge.com, for example, but in most cases you'll need to pay for that. So I'm just going to say no thanks. I'm not interested in having any special domain. I'm quite happy with 4monthchallenge.blogspot.com. So now I'm ready to begin to add content into my blog, and the obvious way to do that is to click on new post, and we can add our first post into our blog. So you need to think about what's going to be the title of your posts. Remember, we can also have extra pages. So this is your blog. This is where you're going to be actually adding up your content, your dynamic content, but you can also create other pages, which we'll do in a moment, for the static content. So I'm going to call this day 1. Okay. And this is day 1 of my 4-month challenge, and then I can actually just start writing here. Now I'm just going to add in a little bit of information. I'll stop the video for a minute and just write in some information. So I've written up here the first part of my 4-month challenge. My 4-month challenge simply is that I'm going to be setting myself some targets, and so I'm going to try and keep a diary every day and see if I can achieve those targets. Now what I'm going to do each day is write about what I did and also how I feel. So what I'm going to do here is just choose this first part here, and I'm going to change that to what we call a subheading. So that'll be a little bit more bit bolder, and I can do the same here. So one of the nice things about Blogger, especially if you use these buttons here, is that you can make every single page look really consistent. Now I'm also able to embed a picture, so if I want to add a picture in, and since it's the first day of my 4-month challenge, I'm going to just simply click here on insert picture, and I can get pictures from all over the place. I can either upload a picture from my Google Drive if I've got pictures in there. I can choose a file by simply just going to my own computer and just grabbing a picture from here. Let's have a quick look if I've got a picture that I can add up. Just a small picture will do. And great, let's just have a look down here, see if I've got something very simple that I can add in. For example, this one here. Just click on open, and then once that file has been selected, I can click on add selected and add that into the page. I can move it around so I can have it on the left or right. I'm going to put that on the left, okay, and you can see then so you can see straight away that I can begin to add different content into my blog very easily. If I should be able to move that up there and exactly to make that look a little bit smarter. Now I can do exactly the same with video as well, so I can add in pictures and video, etc. Now one thing very important when you do a post is always important to add labels to describe the content of your post. So I'm going to call this one my first day, and then I'm going to put something like Camtasia videos, because that's what I've been doing today. and obviously the day isn't finished anyway, so I'll be obviously completing this diary with more information. But it's very good to add labels to any posts. It's a good idea as well to really think carefully about the title. Now I'm going to use day 1, day 2, etc., because as I said, this is a 4-month challenge and I'll be keeping a record on a daily basis. But of course your blog can be completely different to mine depending on what you're actually using the blog for. So once I've finished, I can actually click on the publish button and publish that. Now if I don't want to publish immediately, then I can click on the save button. Since I know that really it's not going to mean that anyone's going to be able to find my blog really at this stage until I start sharing it, it doesn't really matter, so I'm actually going to click on publish. One other thing I can do if I quickly want to look is that I can click on preview, and it will let me just see what it's actually going to look like online. And there it is. That's how it's going to actually look. And obviously at the moment there's just the 1 day, and could be adding more content in later, etc. And I'll be taking you through a few other features in a minute. So let me just close that down again, come back. I'm going to click on the publish button, and that post is now published. I can see now here in my blog 4-month challenge that my first ever post has been published. Now I'm going to do that again. Obviously I'm going to click on new post and add a post, and let's imagine that this is day 2. Obviously it isn't day 2, but just to kind of highlight the point. And what I'm going to do here for day 2, just for this one, I can always delete this post again afterwards, so there's no problem anyway, is just show you how you can embed in a video as well. So if you wanted to add a video, you can just click here on insert a video, and in fact one of the great things you can do is just grab any video from YouTube. So let's see if I got perhaps a video of myself being interviewed or something like that I could embed in. There's actually some videos from the other Russell Stannard who I happen to know, but I'm going to select this one here and click on select, and now that video is embedded into YouTube, so into my blog. So I can do that as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on writing down here, and if I'm going to say, for example, if you want to find out more about me, then please go to my website. And what I'm going to do is for that website, I'm going to select that, okay, just put my website, and then I'm going to click here on link, and then I'm going to actually write in the domain name www.russellstannard.com. so I've actually added the link to my, and I'm going to actually choose here open this in a new window, so that if you click on that it will actually open in a new window rather than push you off the blog and go somewhere else. And I'm going to click on OK. So now what I've done is I've got on day 2 I've got a video and I've got a website. Remember to put some labels in. Labels are there to describe the content of the page, so I'm going to put video from Russell as one label. I just put video, and then I'm also going to put Russell's website as a second label, and I'm going to also put here my second day. Okay, so the labels really help you to describe the content, but I'm going to show you something in a minute about labels. It's very powerful. So then again, I'm going to publish this. It doesn't matter because I can always delete it later. So if I click on publish now, we've now got 2 days of the blog, and always the latest one will always be there at the top. Now if ever I want to edit any of the posts, then all I need to do is make sure that I'm clicked on posts, and of course make sure that I'm in the right blog. I've actually got 3 blogs, okay, so I could jump to my 8-week blog as well, okay, which was another one that I was keeping like as a challenge, and the one that I'm obviously focusing on at the moment is called the 4-month blog challenge. And I can look at the posts, and if I want to delete a post, I can simply just come down here and delete it. And if I want to view it, I can click here, and if I want to edit it, I can click here. So it's very easy for me to come back to any of the content in any of the posts and delete them or edit them, etc. Now, one thing I did mention to you earlier was that we can actually create more pages. If we was to view our blog, okay, and there's various ways of doing this, and one of them is just to simply click here, Okay, or in fact we can click here as well. This is the best place to see it because in fact it will show us the whole blog. So this is how our blog's looking with day 1 and day 2 here. Remember I told you that the menu system is kind of automatic. You don't need to produce the menu system. So now I can go to day 2 of my blog, I can go to day 1 of my blog, or of course I can see the whole of the blog as well. It will show you I think normally up to 5 posts on one page, but that depends a lot on how much content you put on, etc. Now one thing that you'll notice at the moment is that there are no additional pages. It's just when you open it up, all it is at the moment is a blog. But as I've said, you can have multiple pages in your blog, and I'm going to show you how you can do that. So we're going to close down the view of the blog, come back to here, and what we want to do is we're going to come down to pages here on the left hand side, and in pages we're going to click on new page. And so this is going to actually create a new page for us, and I'm going to call this page About Russell. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just basically have a static page that anyone can look at to find out a little bit about me. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to quickly go to my website, which is russellstannard.com. You can't see that here because it's just above where I'm recording, but you'll see it in a minute as I open up the page. And I'm just going to quickly grab some text here. Okay, oh, it's strange, it's chopped off my first word there, so I'll have to just change that. Copy this, come back to here and paste that in, and now I'll put my ER there. I don't know why that's disappeared off the page, and simply I've just created a new page, and then I'm going to click on publish. So now I've got 2 posts and a page. Now one interesting thing is if we come back and view the blog, which we can do here, you'll notice that there's no reference to the page, and the reason is because you need to put a menu system in at the top here that will allow you to access the different pages that you create. Now I've only created 1 additional page, so I will need to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that next. People who don't build websites often are kind of surprised to realize if you create another page, that doesn't mean to say that it will display in the menu system. You actually need to add in a menu system and then tell the menu system how many pages you've got that you've created. So we actually need to physically do that, and it's very simple in Blogger. It's a lot quicker than it is perhaps in web development, depending on the tool you're using. All you need to do is click down here onto layout, and we're going to add the menu system across the top. So if we just scroll down to cross column, and we're going to click on add gadget. Now the gadget that we're looking for is the pages gadget, and if we come down, and you can start to see all the different gadgets that you can add into your Blogger, and we'll look at a little bit at some of these in a minute. And this is where I was saying to you that Blogger is so powerful. You can make a very, very rich tool with lots of different gadgets in it, and it looks very, very sophisticated, but in fact it doesn't require any programming at all. But I'm going to come down to one that says pages, and I'm going to click here, and if you notice that we've already got a home page, but we now want to say yes please, can you add the new page that I've created called About Russell. And now if we do that, we're going to have 2 pages, and each time we create a new page we'll need to come back to this gadget and add the new label or the new link, basically, so that we can access that page. Now we've done it now, and if we view the blog, you'll see now that it's very different. The blog will now have a home page and an About Russell page. Now I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to create one more page for you and just go through that process again. And again, keep in mind that I'm doing this really as just a real simple example. You need to be thinking about how you're going to be using Blogger. Is it going to be with your students, or is it a teacher blog, or is it going to be a classroom blog, etc. What I hope you can see is the flexibility of the technology and the way that we can use it. Now I'll just take you through that process once more to make that absolutely clear. So just clicking here, what I need to do is again come down to pages this time. So obviously most of the time we're in posts, but we're going to come down to pages. We're going to create a new page, and we're going to call this one video. Okay, and just for the sake of this one here, we'll click here, and again we'll add up a video. So we're going to click here on insert video. We'll take a video from YouTube again. Let's put in something else. So I'm going to just do my usual video that I always search for. So I'm going to write in funny presentation, see if I can find the video that I like. It's a presentation I use a lot in training. That's this one here. I'm click on that and select it. I can resize that video if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it like that because obviously this is just a demonstration of creating pages. We click on publish. Now again, that page has not will not be added to the actual menu until we update the menu. So what we need to do now is to go back to the menu, and we can do that very easily by coming down to page layout, and in page layout we've already got this navigation column added here. We can see it here, and what we can do is we can just edit that now, and it will open up and it will tell us, yes, we know that there's a new page created, do you want to add it to the menu? And I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to click down here and click on save, and now that will be added. Now if we now go back and view the blog, you'll realize that the blog now has got 3 pages. We've got a home page, that's where the actual blog is. It's got a page about myself, and it's also got another page with a video embedded into it. Okay, so we can create as many static pages as we want, and that really can help. Well, it basically means that you can create a blog as a blog or use it as a website. Now there's one more thing that I want to try to explain to you that's really important to understand. If we click on the home page here, we've got a menu here which shows us day 1 and day 2. Now it is actually possible to have 2 types of menus. One which is related to the time that a blog post was added. So you'll notice that this is what we call a time-stamped menu. In other words, it's dictated by the date, and slowly as we add more content, there'll be October, then November and December, etc. But we can also create another menu system based on labels. As you remember, when we created the post, we added labels to the different posts. In fact, underneath the post you can see those labels here. And what you can do is actually create a label menu that, say for example, if the label menu will include all the labels that you used to describe your pages, and that will allow another way of navigating the system. Now I'm going to just show you from another website, a friend of mine, Nick Peachy, who uses and does a fantastic blog using Blogger, and he's created a labels gadget which allows you to either search for the content using the traditional block archive, which is done by date, but you can also do it by topic. And this is the power of adding labels along with your pages. Let me just demonstrate this to you. So we can see Nick's blog here. It's a great blog about technology, and if we come over here and scroll down, we can see, in fact, he's put lots of different gadgets in. So all of these are different gadgets that he's added, and as I said to you before, you just simply choose the gadgets that you want to include. But if we come down here, one thing that he's got is all his content organized by date, and that's done by default by Blogger. But also if we come down here, he's got a topics based, and this is basically using what we call the labels gadget. Now why is this interesting? Well, every single page that he's labeled with the words, for example, let's choose one here, so let's go for listening. If we click here, what will actually happen is it will show me every post that Nick has ever added up about listening that has got the label listening. Okay, so we can see that here. All right, and if I went to another label, for example, let's imagine that we clicked on IELTS, it would show me every blog post that Nick has ever posted with the label IELTS. So the great thing, this kind of works like a search engine. It searches for all of the different posts that have ever been created in this blog related to that particular topic. And I'm going to show you how to do that in Blogger, because it's a really useful tool and it can really make navigating your blog much easier. So coming back onto the blog again, this time again we're going to come down to the page layout, and in the page layout we are going to, on the right hand side here, on the column here on the right, we're going to add a gadget, and this gadget that we're going to add is going to be called the labels gadget. So we're going to look for that one there. There it is. Click on that, and we'll just leave all the default settings. Okay, there are a few. We can do the labels alphabetically or by frequency. I'm just going to click on save, and that's now added a label. Now I normally move that label down underneath the blog archive, and actually no, let's have the labels at the top. So we've got blog archive first, so that's the date way of looking at the content. This is the actual labels way of searching for content, and then now we've got the profile about me. This one here and this one are added into Blogger by default, and then of course you can add as many gadgets as you want. Now I showed you Nick's fantastic blog just before, so obviously Nick, what he's done is add lots more gadgets, and he simply clicked on add gadgets, and you can see some of the gadgets that he's added. For example, like he's got a blog search, and he's got also a different one about his followers, etc, etc, and you can see all the different labels that you can add in, and that really is for you to experiment with and practice, and there are lots and lots that you can add. So we're going to save the arrangement. If we now come back and view the blog, you'll notice now that our blog has got the 2 pages at the top, but we've also now got a way of searching for content by clicking on the labels. Now we've only got a few labels at the moment, but if we click on Russell's website, for example, it's going to bring up day 2, because day 2 has been labeled with Russell's website. And if I click on my first day, it's going to bring up day 1, etc. Now if at the moment I don't have any labels that actually refer to more than one page, but if I did, if I for example clicked on video and that had another page that also referred to video as a label, then both of those pages would appear. I hope that gives you a really solid start in Blogger. There's obviously lots more to learn about. One of the obvious things that you're going to want to learn is to come down here to the settings. I will just quickly point out a couple that are really important. Here's where you can even change the title of your blog, and if you come down here and click, I think it's on user settings down here at the right at the bottom, this is actually as well, I do believe, where you can delete your blog. Let me just check if I can just find that, because people often ask me, Russell, where do you delete the blog? Yes, so if you click on other, you can delete your blog here. So if you want to remove your blog or delete it, you can do that. So you will need to check out these settings. If you want to find out more information about Blogger, then please come to teachertrainingvideos.com and click on blogs, wikis and websites, and there are 2 more additional videos, and then you may find that there are more in the future that focus on different things. This one here, for example, though it's 2016, Blogger hasn't been really updated, so you'll notice it's more or less exactly the same. In fact, the design part is exactly the same, and also you may find some useful information here. As I said, don't worry about the fact it says 2016, because in fact Blogger 2018 is more or less exactly the same. I really hope that's helped you. Thank you very much.